And I think that's really important to highlight. I think it's something that's not talked about a lot. Ask yourself today, what is your motivation? What motivates you? I don't need to manufacture it that way. But that's not saying that I'm right and he's wrong. He's highly successful.
Or there's no right or wrong way. If it's not your nature, then it's just about recognizing that it's not nature. When it's your nature, you have to manufacture extra motivation. I mean, we hear that all the time with professional athletes. So it's just identifying what you react better to and then just executing on that, getting yourself to the next level by any means necessary.
Matt Weaver, the #1 mortgage originator in the United States for most loans closed in 2023 and #1 in the state of Florida from 2020 to present, has spent over 27 years mastering the purchase market, earning more than 16 #1 titles across his career. Max Fisch, 2024's #1 originator in the United States under 30 and #2 in the state of Florida, achieved those titles within just 5 years of entering the mortgage industry, compressing decades of growth into a few extraordinary years. Collectively, they've helped more than 40,000 families purchase their first home. Now partners and looking to improve the industry on a national scale, Matt and Max share their winning formula, team structure, and systems with originators who want to scale from elite to extraordinary levels.
So Matt, it's good to be here with you again.
Always a pleasure, Max. You know that.
So today we're going to talk about the old argument of nature versus nurture.
Yes.
Right? People are on one side. Some people believe in nature, some people believe in nurture. But I think it matters when we're talking about, I guess, what motivates us,
Yes.
right, on a daily basis.
Yes.
And for our purposes, what motivates originators? Like, how can we help them be or understand themselves a little bit better, be better salespeople?
Yes.
And I know both of us have opinions on it, but I'll let you go first.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my whole life, I would have told you nurture is where my opinion rests. In other words, if someone wants to be in the NBA and they're 5'8", I truly believe they can be in the NBA despite their height. So I really do believe that someone can will themselves, someone can, let's say, train themselves to get to where they want to get to. So I'm big on nurture over nature. No question about it. And it's such an interesting topic because it is debatable. And I guess at the end of the day, it's an opinion. But as it relates to motivation for originators, let's first dive into the fact that my mentor, Mike Ferry, would always share that motivation is motive to action. Motive to action. So what is your motive to take action is what he would say, which is a great way of putting it. For example, me, I wanted to be #1. I wanted to be #1 in the state that I originate in. I wanted to hit #1 in the nation. It's something that I yearned for, that I desired. And the reality is that if I sat here and said to you that, this was all nurture, and in other words, I built my mindset to want that, to desire that, honestly, I'd be lying. The reality is that for me, it was more of a natural thing. So my motivation is more natural than it is nurture. And I think that's really important to highlight. I think it's something that's not talked about a lot because when we take a look at what can motivate someone or how someone gets motivated, I think there are two types of people. And the only difference is the manufacturing process of motivation. So, for example, some may have it intuitively. I have it a little bit more intuitive, I would say. Some may have to manufacture motivation. What do I mean by that? Well, we've all heard, whether it be a motivational speaker or a sales coach or someone say, if you want to get motivated, go out and buy a bigger home or buy a bigger car, a nicer car, whatever that may be. There's actually truth to what they're saying. Now, for me, that didn't apply because it's more natural for me. But for others, maybe buying that bigger house, that nicer house, that more expensive car, that's a manufacturing process that's taking place to motivate them. So in my opinion, I don't think either is right versus wrong. I think what's important is we have to identify which one of those are ourselves. In other words, which one of those do we resonate with? Um, I was sitting with a top producing real estate salesperson. He sells over 700 homes a year. Max, that's a lot of homes.
Tons.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was in his mastermind group, and he sits down, and the first thing he said was, I'm trying to figure out what to buy to keep me motivated through year end. I'm trying to figure out what to buy to keep me motivated through year end.
It's interesting.
And when you look at that or hear that, I said to myself, he knows exactly who he is. He knows his manufacturing process.
Yep.
And then he turns over to me and says, Matt, what about you? What are you going to buy to keep yourself motivated?
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying this is better, but what's funny about the whole thing is that he doesn't realize that I'm still in the same home from 2010.
Sure.
In other words, when I first started developing my process, meaning I don't need to manufacture it that way. But that's not saying that I'm right and he's wrong. He's highly successful. I don't think this is talked about enough, Max. And I remember you were there. And I remember you leaning over to me saying, do you really have to buy something? And I said, it's a manufacturing process that's different. That's all.
Yeah. So I want to highlight some of the things that you're saying, because when we talk about when to manufacture it, certain people, it's nurture. They have to manufacture it. Some people, it's nature. It's just a part of them. We're talking specifically about, and just to highlight this for everybody listening, we're talking specifically to people that want to excel in something. And there is no right or wrong answer here, or there's no right or wrong way. If it's not your nature, then it's just about recognizing that it's not nature. And then you just have to manufacture it. Right. But we're talking about one of those two avenues that is almost, I would say, imperative in excelling in what you're doing. Because if it's not your nature and you don't manufacture it, then what's going to be your motivation?
That's exactly correct.
And so that's the question that I think originators have to ask themselves.
Right. I think identifying it and knowing which one it is going to be imperative to the journey of winning. So then here's the question. How does someone know where they are to begin with? Well, ask yourself today, what is your motivation? What motivates you? Are you motivated today?
Yep.
Do you want to excel at a high level? And, at the end of the day, listen, some people may just not want to do that. And that's okay. Listen, we're here one time on earth, and everyone has their own way and methodology of living. But I'm going to the one or the originator that has that little it in them, but maybe can't get themselves to want to do it to another level. Maybe they need to be looking at their motivation, how it's manufactured, and maybe the process in which to manufacture it.
Mm.
Okay. I think, and then there is no difference between the two, but I think identifying it and being able to execute on it is extremely important. I could sit here and say, you don't understand. I did it this way and I did it that way, and it was really, really hard. And it's this burning desire. And you hear in these podcasts and these interviews or these motivational speeches, go out there and get it and rule the day and whatever it may be. I would be lying if I said that's how I lived my life. Now, of course, my schedule is extremely disciplined. Of course, my schedule allows me to, or consists of me waking up at early times and staying very disciplined to being highly productive. Okay. But that's very natural to me. Okay. It's not something that is complicated. So that would be an intuitive motivation. Okay. That I have, but that can't transcend to everyone.
Yeah.
Some are going to be like that. Some are going to need to manufacture it a little bit differently. I know plenty of people, and that end up saying to themselves, if I buy a bigger home, if I get a nicer car, which by the way is extraordinary. You see, that's stretching yourself a little bit. Of course, doing it financially responsible. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
If that is what gets you to that next page, and that's like, let's call it the reward system, own it. That's incredible. I know plenty of people that do extraordinarily well and manufacture it that way.
And I'll take it a step further. Even with people that it comes natural to, sometimes even when it's your nature, you have to manufacture extra motivation. I mean, we hear that all the time with professional athletes. Where do you think the term bulletin board material came from?
Right.
Bulletin board material came from professional athletes finding new ways to motivate themselves because of something the other team said in the paper.
Right.
Or, Michael Jordan, on the Last Dance, Michael Jordan sat there and said, I forget who he was talking about, but he was like, and I took that personally.
Yes.
Do you remember who he's talking to? I forget. It is escaping me right now. But my point is that these people, even even when it's your nature to want to excel, there still are, some of the greats in their areas still find extra ways to motivate themselves. So I just want to make it clear that no matter what it is, whether it's an external force or an internal force that's motivating you, the result of the win is still the same.
Yes.
So it's just identifying what you react better to and then just executing on that, getting yourself to the next level by any means necessary,
Yes.
which I think is the underlying foundation of the whole argument.
And you just hit on the ultimate competitor of all time, which is Michael Jordan. And, I would urge anyone who's listening, if they haven't already listened to his Hall of Fame speech, that was probably one of the most fascinating Hall of Fame speeches, at least in my opinion. I'm a big Jordan fan. His motivation was all the people that told him no. It just kept burning adding wood to this fire that was burning inside of him. So, while a lot of his motivation is clearly intuitive, okay, he's adding to that by people telling him no, and you can't do this. So you're right. Adding external components is going to play a role, but I think recognizing where you're at. So here's my opinion for those that are listening. What can they do? Okay. And you know me, I take a lot of great pride in starting my morning with thinking, okay, which we all know most people don't do. They don't take at least 15, 20, 30 minutes a day to think.
Yeah.
Okay. Phone down, iPad down, just thinking. So, my suggestion for anyone who's listening right now is to perhaps maybe tomorrow morning, whatever time you wake up, okay, you write down, what is my motivation? And to answer that to yourself and figure out, what are you doing this for? And who are you doing it for? And start there.
No, that's huge. And speaking of thinking, if I may just leave anybody listening to this off with this, what you just said about taking time to think is something that I think is just, whether it's this industry or anything, is just missing in society today. If we can all just take 15 to 20 minutes, I mean, you take 15 to 20 minutes to do everything else. If we can just take 15 to 20 minutes to think, okay, about this concept or other concepts, I think it'll just open up our horizons for so much more, especially within this industry. So what is my motivation? Let's start there. Let's sit and think through that, and then take the actionable steps after that as we're discussing. So again, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.